Business Park. We're the lead agency on the most rigorous and extensive environmental review in the history of the United States. And that's a state environmental review process which has been going on for a year. And now, since Micron is receiving a federal grant, a federal environmental review process. So our job is to condense those reviews into a timeline that works for the company's business because they will be making the next level of next generation of DRAM technology at scale here. So if you think about 5G and you think about artificial intelligence applications, many of you own stock, you probably own NVIDIA. NVIDIA uses Micron chips, memory technology, right? All the 5G applications, memory technology, all the artificial intelligence applications, memory technology. So that's why Micron's product is in such demand, and that's why the projection on the timeline of these fabs is increasing. So right now we're going through this environmental review. We will start construction, meaning clearing of trees and pouring concrete and digging in 2025. Because we have strong environmental protections, we have a challenge called an Indiana bat problem. For those of you who are in central New York, you'll understand this. But this is a bat that came from Indiana that is endangered. And I don't know how it's endangered, because everywhere we go for a project, we find it. But the reality is, you can't cut down trees because the bat is sleeping or mating during the period of essentially March 31st to November 1st. Now you can get some grace, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later, but you can see the challenge with the environmental reviews is if we don't get done by March 31st with both, then we run into a project, not because we don't want to cut down trees, just because some of our regulators won't let us. So that's part of the challenge, right? So I don't know when we're going to actually be able to start clearing the site, if it will be in the spring or if it will be closer to the fall, because of our friendly Indiana bat. But we will be finishing a fab in 2027. Tooling companies, if you think of, many of you might be from the Capital District, you already have many of these companies there. Think of ASML, Tokyo Electron, Applied Materials, Lam, KLA. All their tools are in this fab. So these companies, their employees run those tools, not Micron employees. So all these companies will then come and co-locate here in Onondaga County as well. And then we'll start making product at full scale in 2028. At the same time, the fabs will be built, the second fab will be under construction. And then by the end of 29, that will be online, making product at scale as well. So phase one is the site. Phase two is essentially looking at the workforce. New York State has an ecosystem today, SUNY Albany now, great piece of workforce infrastructure. You have already with Global Foundries in the Capital District, think of Hudson Valley Community College, you have onsemi and the Hudson Valley IBM legacy there. So you have higher educational institutions that know how to produce talent. We are now going to have to scale that because what this project represents is so much larger than what IBM, onsemi, and Global together have done. And so we have a Northeast consortium of higher educational institutions from across the country working together, committing to really dive in and produce the engineering talent we need. We have our community colleges working together, and we have all of our high schools working together, and with the exciting first statewide STEAM school here in Onondaga County, where we'll have kids from the city of Syracuse working with kids from the suburbs, all learning these disciplines, kind of like a center of excellence for STEM education. In addition to that, we can't create the cluster if we don't really execute on supply chain. And so we talked about the tooling companies. They'll need to be here, but the real opportunity for us and for eventually other regions is the rest of the supply chain. Our country needs to repatriate gas and chemical companies that are predominantly in Asia. We need to repatriate or repatriate for the first time some of the material supply companies. Many of these companies are larger family-owned businesses in Japan and in Taiwan, and they've been able to service the entire semiconductor industry from where they are now. If you think about it, most of the chips in the world are made in Taiwan, Japan, the Koreas, Singapore, and China. So geographically, you've never had to invest in North America. Now we have an opportunity to do that. So we've been very active courting companies from Taiwan and Japan. We'll continue to host delegations and go to meet these companies where they are to bring them to help create that cluster. And the fourth is the community growth. By all studies and all consultants that have been hired for this project, Onondaga County in central New York will grow by 50 to 150,000 people in the next 7 to 10 years. And that's bucking the trend that communities in upstate New York have seen for the last 30 years. And so when you look at that, some of the problems we have today will only exacerbate if we don't get creative, if we don't work together. And so when we think of community growth, first is planning. We put forward our first comprehensive plan in the county in 30 years, factoring in this project. That was ratified as our policy about a year and a half ago. We then knew that our towns and villages would need to update their comprehensive plans, including zoning for housing. And so we paid at the county level for these local communities to do that. And we're in the process of updating 15 different plans from some of our local partners so that they're ready for what the growth is. They can have community conversations for where you can capture density and where you can capture multi-unit housing and where are good areas for new single-family development. The other piece of that is a full-blown housing strategy. And we invested in our first countywide housing plan. And really what it confirmed for us was that we needed all of the above housing approach. We need multi-unit, we need mixed income, we need mixed use, we need affordable workforce housing, and we need senior communities. Single family housing will come with that. But as you all know, today you can build a house for $500,000 to $700,000 in central New York. Today, there's only so many people that can afford that house. Once all these engineers start coming, that will change, and single-family development will get better. But in the meantime, we need to create